What's up, everybody? It's a great Wednesday evening, and man, do we got a doozy for you today. It's going to be a fun one, man. Anytime you can talk to, well, I'm going to say legends and being able to talk about our great university, university football, University of Alabama football, and just the world of broadcasting that a lot of us like to be in, and what does that feel like? So today, as you guys have seen in the post and all this kind of stuff, we got a very special guest who I will officially introduce a little bit later. But I do need to go ahead and remind everybody, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a like, go ahead and tweet out, let everybody know where we're at, what's going on, because we're going to dive into the world of Alabama football. We will not be showing any film today, Roll Tide Christian. We're going to do strictly an interview and talking. The next week, we'll dive back into the film. Okay, so if you're asking or you're thinking about it, that's what we're going to do. So, without further ado, we'd like to go ahead and get this party started. Let's go. All right, the official welcome is here. We are now officially live with Teague's Take. Roll Tide, everybody that's in the house. It's going to be a good one. What's up, cuz? Man, I'm excited about this today, but I need to go ahead and give y'all a quick run out because something happened to me today, and y'all know I like to be able to talk about a few little things. And this just happened like 2 hours ago. And it's really for me to say, hey, what do you do when you have the opportunity to be able to help somebody? What are the dangers and all this kind of stuff? So I was leaving from a sports bar actually, and there was a car pulled over outside. There's a young gentleman sitting on the curb, lights flashing. He had a big little tank, just kind of sitting by him. And oftentimes when I'm going by, people, I don't always stop or give money or food or something. And there was just something in my spirit today that said, "Hey, just roll down your window and ask them if they're okay." And I did. It was dark outside too, right? And so the guy says, "Hey, I'm just kind of down on my luck. I ran out of gas. Uh, I don't have any money, and I don't know what to do." That kind of thing. So the first thing I did, well, like I said, I don't always do it. I reached in my pocket, I pulled out a $10 bill and I handed it to him. Said, "Go get yourself some gas," right? And as he was starting to walk away, he was very thankful in this kind of stuff. And then I thought, and this is where maybe where it gets a little dangerous, right? I thought, well, yeah, I can take him to the gas station because the gas station ain't that close. I said, "Hey man, you want to ride up there?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." Now, in this 5 minute trip that I had with him, yes, anything could have happened, right? um, but I learned a lot in there because we started talking about life. He started talking about his struggles, and we actually started talking about paying forward. He was saying, I only had $30 in my pocket. This is what he said, and he gave 15 of it away to someone else who was stranded. So he was thankful and just said, "Man, see, this is what happened when you pay things forward." So, what am I saying? What am I encouraging? Hey, we always got to be safe. We got to understand things. But when that spirit hits you and you got the opportunity to help some people, don't miss it because you don't know what kind of blessing you're going to give somebody, or you don't know what's going to come back to you. And that's my run out for today. So I need to go ahead and bring in my man, the extraordinaire, the analytical one, the man behind everything that you've seen on the screen, my son, James Teague is in
Oh,
the
you hit the button this
house.
time. I was
I
like, hold on,
got
I
it
didn't do
for
it.
you. I got it for you, baby. I'm up my game over here, JT. I got this. I got horns. I got claps. Yes, sir, Kat. Thank you too, and thank you, Kat, for all of your support and being able to talk to us about this. So, JT, I'm going to ask you one question because I want to get to our guests. Have you ever tried any of the pay it forward stuff? I'm just curious. When you're sitting at McDonald's drive-through and you be like, "Hey, let me pay for that meal behind us," or have you been sitting at a restaurant with Emily and the kids? And you be like, "Hey, man, let me get that table." Have you ever indulged in it at all? No, no, right or wrong or bad. Just curious.
Not particularly like that. I have. I am definitely more likely to help somebody out when they ask me for something specific. Does that make sense? So I can think of two things. One of them, I was walking back. I think it was from practice, and I was walking back into the dorm, and there was some lady that was standing on the sidewalk, and she asked me to help her get some food. Well, first she asked me for cash,
Yes.
and I was like, "Well, I don't have cash anyway, so no, I can't help you there." And she was like, "Well, can you help me get some food?" I was, sure. So we went around to the sandwich shop, and she asked, like, what can I get off the menu? Basically, just say, well, what can I get? And I was like, just the sandwich shop, just get whatever you want. The most the sandwich in there was going to be $10 plus some tax. So I just told her to get whatever she wanted. So got her a sandwich. And then there was one the other day. I was at the gas station up the street from my house, and I was just getting a couple bags of ice. So I ran into the gas station, asked the guy for a couple bags of ice, and this guy walks in. He was probably a teenager, and he goes to the back of the store, and there was one box of 2 Hot Pockets left. And he walked up behind me, and he was like, "Hey, just my mom and I are hungry, and we just need something to eat. Would you mind getting this box of Hot Pockets?" And of course, it was $3. It was sure. Put it up there. Got him the Hot Pockets, and I think I was actually with Dave, and we got in the truck, and it's almost like he just kind of disappeared. Like I have no idea where he went after that, but it's just kind of one of those things where you're like, was that a test? Like was somebody testing me to see if
you might have showed up on one of the TV shows? Like, hey, how do you help people? But that's good to hear, man.
It's like if you just, for me, like if you ask me for something specific, and I don't, and it's not necessarily that it has to be convenient, but I'm more leery about somebody just walking up to me and asking me for money versus somebody asking me to do a specific thing. Can you buy me this sandwich or these Hot Pockets, or help me with getting gas in the car? And it does come back around, because when we left your house after Thanksgiving, and we went to Emily's sister's house, and then we were the ones stuck at the gas station. I stopped to get some gas, but the battery died, and me, Emily, and the kids were in the car and needed somebody to help us jump the car. And I had to ask some random dude. It's like, "Hey, I have jumper cables. When you're done pumping your gas, will you just give us a quick jump so I can get my family home?" And he did, and we got home and then took care of it after that. So
nice. Well, thanks for sharing the good message. As we head into the Christmas holidays, and we're spending time. It's always, sometimes it is about giving, but really Christmas is about is receiving. So accept your gifts when people try to give to you. All right, so I want to go ahead and introduce our guest, man. I'm excited about this one, JT. Right, so our guest, man, is no stranger to the Christmas Tide Network. A lot of people know exactly who he is, but he's called Alabama baseball for 24 years. Has been play-by-play announcer for the Alabama basketball team for 22 years. During the 2022 football season, our guest filled in for Eli Gold, one of the legendary broadcasters for the Alabama football. But in addition to these roles, our guest serves as the television host of the Kalen DeBoer Show and the Nate Oates Show. Our guest spent 8 seasons as a radio announcer for Birmingham Southern College, has extensive TV experience, including stints, broadcast platforms covering high school, college football, basketball, baseball, soccer, and volleyball. He's been honored with the University of Montevideo 2009 Alumni Achievement Award, and was a 2021 inductee into the UM Athletics Hall of Fame. 6 times he has been named to the Alabama Sports, been named the Alabama Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association. And I almost thought I was going to have a chance to work with this guy. Well, y'all please welcome in Chris Stewart.
Sounds like a
Oh, that's not the one I wanted.
Yeah, my man.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Y'all calm down back there. Y'all calm down.
Hey, man, thanks for coming in, man. We do appreciate you very much for giving us a little bit of time.
No, I just appreciate you asking, George. I'm flattered. Yeah, I was hoping we were going to get to work together too. It's we've had a lot of fun with D Square, but it'd have been fun to get a chance to work with you on Saturdays, and never know how it's going to work out down the road. But man, it was flattering when I got the call from you to do this today, and great to meet James and be a part of this with you guys. It's really cool what you built, and the fact you get to do it with family. And I'm really impressed with the setup and the way this thing looks, and I'm gonna try not to mess it up for you. I got a good thing going.
Appreciate it.
We do appreciate it, and I will say, if you would have seen us last year, you might have thought we were a little generic.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, what are they doing over here? Yeah, but
you're good. You're good.
So we thank our fans and viewers and listeners. Thank you all for making us what we are today, and all the support that you have. And so I want to talk about that because just real briefly, most people don't know. I had the opportunity to perhaps be a sideline reporter or analyst, I guess, with the University of Alabama. Things come up. You guys know I've been dibbling and dabbling in this broadcasting deal, working with CBS and doing other things. And when I had the opportunity just to even give it a shot, it was very exciting to me. There's a lot of hurdles and all those kind of things, but y'all know how I love Alabama sports anyway, and football. So I didn't get the opportunity. It's no love lost at all for me, because it would have been difficult to flying in from Dallas all the time to everywhere. But it would have been great for this other career that I'm trying to start. So I kind of want to ask you about that. A lot of us just start like this. This has not been my path, trying to do media or podcasting. But how'd you get involved with Alabama football, and, what drew you to Alabama, the Crimson Tide?
Man, I can't believe I get to do it, George. I grew up in Fairfield, about 45 minutes to an hour from Tuscaloosa, and Alabama fan. Jim Fuller was on staff when you played at Alabama, wasn't he?
Yes.
Wasn't Coach Fuller the line coach? All right, so he's from Fairfield, and actually coached my brother. I got a brother that's 19 years older than I am, and Coach Fuller was played at Fairfield, coached at Fairfield, and a lot of my family Bama fans, and so I grew up a Bama fan as well, and started college at Montevallo, fell in love with it, got to do a ton of high school football in the area, and then local cable access. When I got out of school, I was doing over the mountain games. There was a channel called Alabama Cable Network, and it was back in the day when all these different cable systems had their local community channel, and a man named Don Early basically managed these little channels in all these different markets around the state of Alabama. And after doing high school football for years, he got an opportunity. Nobody was doing it. And he gets Alabama, Auburn, UAB, and then Troy, and I think Jacksonville State did it as well. Gave him the opportunity to say, hey, let us do your games, and we'll do our own broadcast, and then we'll run it. We're not trying to do it live. We just want to run it another night during the week. And people thought he was crazy, because they thought, sure, go ahead. Nobody's going to want to do that. Well, how much of ESPN's programming now is reruns, on their platform, games that are rebroadcast, shows that are rebroadcast. So it was really kind of ahead of its time to do something like that. And I was doing a lot of different sports on their channel, and got the opportunity to work with David Crane, who is an Alabama grad, and was doing things with the Alabama, I think it was called the Alabama Football Network, and then it had switched. Learfield got the rights, and it became the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And David and I worked together on those cable broadcasts, football, basketball. I got to do a lot of play-by-play with that while I was still doing Birmingham Southern radio, but I would do some of the home games, men's and women's hoops, baseball. The next year, I got started with him on the baseball radio network, working alongside David. And then 3 years later, they offered me the basketball play-by-play job for the men on radio. And that's what got me in the door in a big way with Alabama. And I was working a little bit with football side of it, doing pre or post game. And then those cable broadcasts, those tape delay broadcasts really got me involved with football. And it was not only the tape delay, but also the pay-per-view. We'd have a couple of those a year. And that's what got me in the door. Other sports on radio, and really football on tape delay and pay-per-view. And David gets the radio job at UAB to be the voice of the Blazers, right as Nick Saban becomes the head coach at Alabama. And so I got to slide over and do the play-by-play on those TV broadcasts, whether it was the replays or pay-per-view. And from there, I guess it was about 3 years after that, they made me the sideline reporter as well. So many opportunities that I've been really fortunate, different dominoes that have kind of fallen over in my life, one falling into the other, which led to me doing the play-by-play full-time this year. I shared the duties with Eli last year. They gave me the job on a full-time basis this year, and I'm really fortunate.
Okay, well, that's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. And I see the questions are rolling in. Y'all keep putting them in over there. I know JT's kind of queuing up because I have a couple other questions I need to make sure I ask them from my side that I think would be interesting as well. So keep putting those in the chat as JT has typed in there because we got him for a little while. So we want to be able to try to get your guys' questions answered as well. Do welcome super chats. Don't forget to subscribe. Have people go ahead and let them know we're on here because this is going to be great. Now, I've already seen some of the people in here that are run their own. So just so the listeners are knowing, I need to ask one or two questions before we get to football about this broadcasting, podcasting type of world first. Okay, so I want you guys to know what I'm doing here. And then we'll dive into the questions about football, which I know we're all dying to get, but if there's any kind of information that he can help us with on this side, I want to know. Because see, me and JT, we're a teaching platform, all right? So most of the time we're talking about coaching and how do you run a play, what does practice look like, and all this kind of stuff. So I don't think most of us really know what happens with analysts or play-by-play stuff. What really happens? How do you get ready for a game? You're sitting there all week. What do you do?
It's pretty cool, but from my standpoint, it how I would prepare for it, George, is different than you would in your role. If you were the analyst, you were the color analyst or the sideline reporter, we're going to probably prepare a little bit differently. There's some general game stuff we're going to try to read to learn and catch up with, what's going on with the teams themselves. But for me, there's study going on of rosters, trying to make sure I can identify players pretty quickly. And I got the best spotter in the business. I inherited Butch Owens from Eli, who was his set of eyes for, 35, 36 years on the broadcast for Alabama. And Butch has been a friend of mine for a long time too, and kind enough to stick around. And he's the guy you always see if you see that video stream in our booth, our radio booth. He's a guy over my shoulder pointing to everything. I tell people all the time, if you hear me say something right, Butch pointed to it. If you hear me say something wrong, it's because I didn't trust Butch and I got it wrong. I probably messed it up because he would have pointed to the right thing.
Kudos to JT once again. Okay, good, because there's no way I could be speaking, talking, doing all this stuff, and working the computer in the back end. So that's why he gets a six-figure income.
Yeah, from somebody else.
From his other job. But anyway, okay, so we apologize for that now, and we apologize to you too, Chris, because I know you were in the middle of
No problem. No problem at all.
Answering the question of, preparation.
Just that there is I won't go back over everything, but basically there's a company called Tony Britt Spotting Charts that does the cheat sheet, if you will, for a ton of broadcasters around the country. And they've got the access to the same game notes package that I do and most broadcasters do from the two teams. And they put together pretty much the 2 deep spotting chart. It's a service you pay for, and they'll email it to you on Monday or Tuesday of game week. And I send that to a printer that I've got. Pete's Printing here locally in Birmingham, and they print that thing out for me. And it's what Butch points to. Now, there's a certain number of notes and reading and study that goes in on all of that. But in terms of game day itself, that's where they find. I mean, that's where that's what I've got all in front of me. So you're not having to flip through and try to find a lot of different stuff. Because if you have to look for it, chances are it's going to be too late and you won't be able to find it.
Man,
but it's a cool thing.
You just gave me a nugget, man. And probably some others. I don't know how much that thing costs, but I need to learn how to spell Britt. Tony Britt, B-R-I-T-T-S.
I got you covered. B-R-I-T-T. Tony Britt Spotting Chart. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, Tony's the best, man. He does a ton of these guys around the country, TV and radio, and it would be tough to try to do that every week. Back in the days of without having all these websites and everything, you kind of had to do that yourself. And there's still some handwork that would go into different types of information and notes, but to have it printed there in the form that it is and done on the computer and laid out is better than I could ever do. I'm really fortunate to have that.
Okay, sweet. So last one, what's the advice do you give to the folks that might want to do something
that might want to do this?
Yeah.
Go into business. No, go get I do tell students this that are wanting to go into it. I said, I don't care what your major is. This is what I told my kids. I said, you can go into whatever you want to, but you're going to get a minor in business because there's so much that you need to learn that will help you in life that I wish I had learned. Just in terms of taking care of your own household finances and thinking in the business world, you need to understand it whether you're going to actually be in charge of it or not. You need to understand what the people you're working for or talking to are talking about and why the things they're talking about are so important. And just being able to manage things in your own life better. I think those skills help you. It's not the easiest way to make a living, George. A lot of people think that since you're on air, you're making a lot of money. And there's some guys who are now. Make no mistake. There's some dudes making paper now.
Tony Romo.
But, yeah, I mean Romo's making bank, but he's not making bank because he's a great broadcaster. He got that job and became a really good. Don't get me wrong. Now he's good.
Yeah,
but he got the job he got because he was the quarterback for the Cowboys. He's great on air, but the guy he's sitting next to, Jim Nantz, had a totally different path to that same booth.
Yeah.
He's not there because he was a great player, even though he's a really good golfer. But he had to take a different path because the role's different. It's pretty much like a kicker and a middle linebacker. Yeah, they're both on the same team, but they're pretty different.
Yeah.
And really, there's a lot of that from a play-by-play and analyst role as well.
Well, it's not as glorious as everyone think. I could say that, and I understand when he's saying that. Hey, you're gonna make a few pennies when you're trying to get up there. I'm doing a lot of stuff, but it ain't enough for me just to be able to say, "Hey, I'm not working anymore." You know, I don't have
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, George. There are a lot of people that I know that hate their job and probably ain't making a lot of money. And I'm not sitting here complaining. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm just here's here's why I do what I do, because much like myself, okay, especially when I was doing college baseball, and I'm not doing that anymore on a regular basis. I gave that up end of 2 years ago, but I loved it. Loved who I was working with. Loved the people. Loved being around the team. The access you get to it's great. But you're talking about a 50-plus game schedule for baseball after I've done basketball, after I've done football.
Yeah.
Okay. And I miss a lot of my own family stuff. I was away a lot, cost me a lot. And here's the thing, though. There's a lot of dudes that have to do the same thing. Their job may be totally different, but they've got to be gone a lot too. And there are a lot of guys I know that have to be gone, and they hate their job while they're doing their job too. Now, I hate the fact that I've got to be away. But when I'm doing my job, George, it's so much fun. I love doing the job. It's so much fun. I'm so blessed and fortunate that I get to do it. I'm fortunate that my health is where I can do it, because there was a time where that was very much in question. But I'm really blessed to get to do what I do at the level I get to do it and where I get to do it.
Yeah.
Because this job I have, I could probably have it at a half dozen other places in college where it would be considered on par professionally, but it wouldn't mean as much because Alabama's where I grew up and it's where I was a fan since I was a child.
Yeah. Well, you know what you're blessed with, and thank you for doing that. I want to kind of flip into a little bit of football here, if we can.
Yeah.
Because they're all starting to roll in, right? So,
sure.
First one, it got to be about, going from one GOAT to the next. Nick Saban being the face of football for many years. What has it been like, watching, participating under this evolution of under Coach DeBoer, and part B to that is, how do you see DeBoer's impact on the continued legacy of Alabama football?
Yeah, I'll start first with, George, you and I are about the same age. And remind me where you grew up again, George. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Montgomery,
That's what
Alabama.
I thought. I thought you were Montgomery. All right. So you remember Sunday afternoons just like I do. 4:30, the Bear Bryant show was on TV. And just about everybody in the state was watching the Bear Bryant show because that's where you got the highlights. So I remember vividly watching that show and Charlie Thornton being the host of the TV show. Well, I can't tell you how many times over, I guess it was 11 or 12 years, that I had the privilege of hosting Coach Saban's TV show, where I would stand there and he would be talking. And I'm trying to pay attention to what he's saying, but I'm just realizing all of a sudden, holy cow, I am my era's Charlie Thornton. People aren't tuning in to watch me, but they're seeing me because of who I'm sitting or standing next to. And back in our childhood, it was Coach Bryant. There are kids and adults now that are tuned in and aren't going to miss something that Coach Saban says. And yeah, they see me next to, they're not watching me, but I'm getting that opportunity to have a front row seat at history and something that's just incredibly historic taking place. And it's so grateful that I had that chance. And we go from Coach Saban to a guy we knew a little bit about just because he had won recently, but we didn't know. But from my standpoint, I'm not talking about the football standpoint. From my standpoint, I couldn't have been more fortunate because I get to work with a guy who's incredibly down to earth. I said this a lot, but people would ask me after I'd traveled with him a little bit during the summer, right after spring ball. There were a number of speaking engagements around the state and some other places, and not all the time, but a few times I flew with him, and we'd go to these different events. And we, bless his heart, he had to hear me ask him questions about 25 different times before he ever kicked football off at Alabama. And I was trying to mix the questions up a little bit for him, but he was very patient and kind and understanding that, some things are going to have to be asked over and over again because it's a different audience every time you're talking to him. But he's a regular. I said this to so many people, George. Kalen DeBoer is a normal human being. And since he's retired, apparently Nick Saban is too, because he wasn't normal, for a long time. He was a machine. And now he's a regular person, still driven, still determined. But, Coach Saban's kind of a regular guy, and he's hilarious on TV and, of course, phenomenal insight. Meanwhile, Kalen DeBoer cares every bit as much about winning as Nick Saban does. He wants to win. He's got a plan. He's got a purpose. He's got a drive. His personality is just different. He goes about things differently. And as long as you're winning, I'll give you the prime example. Nobody said a word about the hoodie shirt he's wearing. Hoodie, which is, nobody said a word about that till you lose to Vanderbilt. And then people, coming out of the woodwork talking about how it looks, and you go back and, it's just style. That's, this better than I do. You played. People want to get upset about things sometimes. And really all they're mad about is the fact that their team lost. And that's fine. I wasn't happy about it. I was mad we lost too. I'm not mad at the guys. I'm just mad Bama lost. I'm not happy. There's a lot of reasons. Well, first and foremost, I pull for Alabama, always have. Second of all, I have to hear from it because there's stuff people say to me, George, that they'll never go up and say to a coach.
Right.
And I can't be ticked off because I'm having to hear it from everybody else, which is fine. That's part of it. I'm thankful that I'm in that position. But you know what I'm saying when I go that route. But they also can't just be content with, I'm upset we lost. They feel like they got to add stuff sometimes to it, whether it's, talking about the fact he's wearing a hoodie or he's wearing a T-shirt. Okay, that's what every other coach just about is wearing these days too.
Yeah, me and JT brought that up. And everybody's got an opinion. They all think they can coach a little bit better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all better officials too.
Now look, I ain't gonna. I'm the world's worst at officiating from my seat, but Whip Sanderson had the best line about coaching and people wanting to coach. He said, I would never try to do surgery. I would never go into a courtroom and try a case, and I would never try to do somebody's taxes. He said, but man, every accountant, every surgeon, and every lawyer thinks they can coach college basketball. And the same applies for football. And so that's part of it. Fan is short for fanatic.
Yep.
And it's what makes it great. Is that there's many people passionate. I'm not in any way knocking fans. I'm just saying it's tough for us to take a deep breath sometimes and understand you got more than 24 new faces on a roster. You lost 30-something guys, and everybody on the staff is either new to the location or new to each other. And the fact that you went 9-3 and you literally went to the last team announced with a chance to get into the playoff, if that's our low water mark, George, we're not in a bad spot. And you look at his history, and that's the thing to me you go off of. It's why he got the job, his history. And you look at what his history is, people better look out in year 2, especially if year 1 was as good as that was.
Hey, man.
Relative to other places. I know it's not our standard. It ain't his standard. But next year can't get here quick enough. And really, next year starts with this bowl game because it does set the tone going into the offseason.
Hey, man, we appreciate it. Don't get us hyped in here like that, boy. You start talking about what's next. You know, we love that. But, JT, you think you got something down in there that we might need to hit from a fan? Anything that you saw?
Oh, yeah. There are plenty. Here's one. Is it tougher to call play-by-play for basketball or football?
You know, football, I think, has gotten to be more challenging with all the hurry up, no huddle stuff. You know, back in the day when it was the traditional stuff you and I grew up watching, George, or that you played in most of your career. For my role, play-by-play guy, especially on radio, says what happened on the play and says, all right, you know, a 3-yard gain, that'll leave 2nd and 7. Well, then you shut up and you let your analyst kind of break things down. And as the analyst, you've got until basically they get back to the line of scrimmage, or they're breaking the huddle and coming to the line of scrimmage. And there was a ton of time for, you know, Doug Layton back in your playing days to tell John Forney and then Paul Kennedy and then John for another year and then Eli Gold what they were seeing and what they were wanted to break down. Well, now it's a challenge with hurry up, no huddle. It's not that what I'm doing as a play-by-play guy is more important than the analyst, but when you're talking about radio, if I don't tell people score time, down, and distance, there's no context for what the analyst is saying because they're still having to picture it in their mind because most of the time they can't see it. There's some people that watch the game while they listen to us, but you know, they got to go through some effort to get that thing synced up if that's really what they want to do. Most of the time you're driving down the road and you're trying to get to your TV or you're trying to get wherever it is you're going. And you're listening to our broadcast and you're trying to follow the game. And I'm trying to give the details of what happened on the play and get it over with quick enough so that my analyst can give some insight into what went right or what went wrong on that play. But if they're just sprinting to the line of scrimmage and there's no break in between, it makes it tough to get the analyst and especially the sideline guy worked in.
So it sounds like you're saying football, it might be the most difficult, is what I'm hearing.
You got all those moving pieces, but at the same time now you start trying to describe everything that happens and all the passing that takes place in a Nate Oates
running good
transition
back on defense.
Oh, that's you start sounding like an auctioneer at that point.
Yeah, I think I saw you sweating a few times too on TV. Like
it
you've
don't
been
take
running up and
much.
down
I
the
mean,
corner.
Fat boy here, you know, I'll start sweating. Start sweating gravy after a while. No,
right.
It's they can both be tough, and then baseball, you know, can be like doing a talk show if it's boring in the top of the third and there's no scoring. But then you get to the bottom of the ninth, there's 2 out, there's runners at second and third, and the home team's down a run. And, man, you're on the edge of your seat, and you're trying to describe all those moving parts on a ball that's hit into the gap in right center, and that can be tough too. They're all different. They've all got challenges. But football is becoming tougher and tougher simply because of the pace that it's becoming now.
Yep.
Okay, well, quick follow-up question to that is, which do you prefer?
I'm not dodging this one, and I'm not trying to make everybody happy. It really depends
Man,
on what season you're in.
that's what everybody says right before they dodge a question. So go ahead.
You're right, Your Honor. Your Honor. But it's truly whatever's in season for me, JT.
Okay.
I mean, it really is.
I played the fifth. Who was that saying
Yeah.
that?
I love, man, there's nothing like getting to call an Iron Bowl, especially when your team's winning. Had the privilege of calling the Rose Bowl last year, and that was a lot of fun until the last minute. And then it wasn't nearly as much fun that final minute. But getting to call the first Elite Eight win that puts Bama in the Final Four for the first time, man, that's special. And when I was doing NAIA games for Birmingham Southern, one basketball, one baseball, I got to call 2 national championship wins. Yeah. So they're all special. They really are.
So you just kind of led me into this, and another question I want to put in before we go back to another one is, because you're talking about which games are special. Let's talk about this year. Mm-hmm. Which one of the games? Give me one. Can you give me one games or one moment that stand out to you the most that you just?
It was Georgia. It was Georgia, and it was you had this big lead, and it's gotten away from you, and you're going, oh man, this is rough, and then all of a sudden, Jalen hits Ryan, and he makes this incredible play. First of all, it's a great catch, great throw, great catch, then a phenomenal move for him to be able to go to the house. And then you go from there to, a freshman who'd been picked on all night, especially in the second half, and he comes up with the interception to save the game at the end. That was a big deal. And to me, it was, you remember, George, when Julio and those guys went to Athens and beat Georgia in the
that was
the blackout game.
Yeah, that funeral game where they all dressed up like they were going to funerals, and they just didn't know that it was theirs. Black.
They didn't know it was theirs. They did not. You're exactly right. And in that game, Bama didn't win a national championship that year, but it sent the statement that Alabama is Alabama again. The win over Georgia in that moment signaled that Nick Saban may not be at Alabama, but Alabama still beats Georgia.
Love it.
Love it. And there's work to be done to get it. You don't get a ring for that win over Georgia, but it shows. I think in that moment it gave a lot of belief, and that's why the loss the next week hurt so bad to Vandy's, because you're thinking, here we are again. But success and greatness is week by week, and you got to earn it, and you got to keep it 1 week at a time.
Hey, Chris, if you don't mind, I know we're kind of at a 9 o'clock hour, but if you don't mind hanging out for us just a little bit more because we crashed and all.
Glad to.
I'd like to get a few more.
Absolutely.
You got another fan question?
Oh, I got plenty more. The next one is, what did you learn from Eli Gold? What is your favorite memory of working with him?
Nobody prepared harder. Nobody took preparation more seriously than Eli. I'm not going to say did, because Eli still works. Nobody preps any harder that I've ever been around and cares about the profession itself more than Eli. So I think there's a passion for it that I can never fully emulate, but I can certainly respect and learn from. And as far as memories are concerned, man, that's really tough. That's tough. But I think getting him to laugh on air, there's more than one occasion, but getting to they made me the broadcast host, and I sometimes on the field, as the sideline guy. But when I'm sitting there right next to him, and he can actually turn and look at me and see the grin on my face and know that I'm messing with him a little bit, that was fun. I always enjoyed and appreciated that.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you another one here because I'm curious. So, because you're that close, so we're not there, and I don't even know where you were sitting, but they make the announcement, we don't make it into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of reaction did you see? What was it like? With the guys, the staff, the team to be like?
Yeah, I wasn't sitting with them, George. I did see them that night, and this was tough. The banquet for the end of the season, takes place for years. It was put on by the Jefferson County Alumni Chapter, I believe. And it's thought of as a senior banquet, I think, but it's a team banquet. And that was already scheduled for that day. And, if you get in, it's going to be a party. We didn't, and it wasn't quite a funeral, but it definitely wasn't a party early. And so for me, I was just got back in the car from pumping gas. I had my phone up on the dashboard. I had my daughter, my son with me, and one of my two sons with me, and we're watching and fingers crossed. And when I saw Clemson originally at number 12, I felt pretty good.
Oh, we had it, didn't you?
I felt pretty good because would you think that the team that just won would be ranked behind the team they just beat?
I'm going to say I know, like, we should say no, but considering the week before that, that's literally what they did to South Carolina.
Yeah, I got it. That's again part of the committee and people going their route. I was to step back a little bit, guys. I wasn't shocked we didn't get in. Okay. Right. At the same time, could I argue for Alabama to be in? Sure, I could. Because we're supposed to have the best teams, and I think Alabama beats Clemson or SMU. We won't know because we're not going to get a chance to play either one of them, and that's because we let it get out of our hands. You take care of business, then you don't have to leave it in somebody else's hands. I was really disappointed for them. They were disappointed. There's a lot to celebrate about the careers of some guys that are moving on, the seniors that are moving on. At the same time, I think the further we get away from Sunday, when that final team was announced and it was SMU in and Alabama out, the further we get away from it, guys, I think the more excited you get about a bowl game. I'm already hearing that with some different groups and all, like the Alumni Association, they're selling. They've sold out of their allotment of tickets. They're trying to get more. Or they're having to send people other places. I think Bama fans are going, all right, this is not what we wanted, but Tampa in December ain't bad. Alabama, Michigan. It's not the Rose Bowl last year, but it's certainly better than no bowl at all, which is what a lot of teams are dealing with. I mean, most teams are, or a lot of teams are dealing with that. Yep. Sorry to say most. I don't even think it's most anymore because there are so many bowls. But this is a good bowl. This is a good bowl you're going to.
I don't know.
It ain't what you want to go to. It's not what you want to go to, but they're going to play. There's only so many games in the course of a year. You work out all year long for a chance to play X number of games.
Hey,
and I'll be surprised that those guys aren't motivated.
And that other school that is barely in Alabama, that's really just in West Georgia, they're not going. They're
Send
done.
your cards and letters to James Teague, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. So
no, You're right. I agree with you. There are a bunch out there. In fact, I said that at the end of the Iron Bowl broadcast, and Tyler Watts thought I was taking a shot at Auburn when I said it. And I guess indirectly I was,
You
but
were.
I really wasn't even thinking about
Yeah,
Auburn.
you were.
I wish I would tell you if I was. I would tell you flat out if I intentionally took a shot at them, but I wasn't really. I hadn't even thought about them. I was just thinking big picture. And it was disappointing for them. They were down. They know they missed an opportunity. But at the same time, the guys that are coming back, I think, are motivated. They are excited. They know that they're not as far away. It's not like you got to go in and totally redo things, guys.
Yep.
There's stuff you got to fix, but it's not like we got to go blow this up and start over again. That'd be foolish. And that's why I hope people, you can be upset. You can be mad. You should be disappointed. But nobody, you got to understand, ain't nobody more disappointed than those guys in the Mal Moore building. Those coaches, those players, they're the ones that have invested more than anybody into this. And they want to be, that's why you come to Alabama, whether you're a coach or a player, you want to win it all. You want to compete for it all. And to know that there are games that are going to be played and you're not able to play in them, whether you're talking about now in the playoff or whether you're talking about last year and you get all the way to the semis and you don't make it into the championship game. If there's a game still to be played and they're giving out a trophy for it and you're not in it, it's disappointing. So I fully expect they're going back to work now and getting ready for that game against Michigan. And then as soon as that's over, they're going to do what they need to do to regroup, get ready for the spring, which means they're starting to get ready for 2025.
All right, so JT, let's try to get maybe a couple more if you guys don't mind. That'll put us at about an hour at about 9:15.
Yep, we got.
We'll let him.
Your top 3 venues in the SEC. We can do that one quickly, and then there's 3 more questions after that.
I guess we're talking football, so
There's some good ones now.
I love Bryant-Denny. I love Bryant-Denny.
Absolutely.
I love where we broadcast from at Bryant-Denny. The atmosphere at Auburn is great. We've got a bad broadcast spot, so that's a tough one for me. We're kind of in the corner of the end zone, and you don't have access to a video board and stuff, so it's tough to tell the story to the listeners. It's not like I'm mad because I don't have a good seat. It's just tougher to do your job when you're supposed to tell what you see and you can't see as well as you'd like to, which is part of the reason I say that about Tennessee. You know, we're in a good spot, but you're so high up and you're so far away from the field. And you got to look through so much orange before you get to the field. That can be less than ideal. They hate me enough as it is. I ain't gonna
What about LSU?
I'm teasing. LSU's great, but here's the thing that's tough for me. It is great. It is great. There's no doubt. And this sounds like I'm puffing my chest out. I got nothing to do with it. It's the toughest place in college football to play.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Yep, we lost a.
He died.
Oh, his AirPods died.
AirPod died.
Switch your mic for us. And
those iPods are pretty good then, because I didn't think I didn't even pay attention that it was on. Still can't hear him.
Hold on. Let me see if I can. No, let me see if I can help you out here.
Yeah, just so if you didn't know, it's kind of weird because somehow when you're in our studio, JT can start messing with your audio and stuff. It's kind of creepy.
How about now?
There it
you got
is.
any better?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
Got
You know, I forgot exactly where I was, but it's you want to be in a spot where you can tell the story well. But what I say about LSU is it's the toughest place in America for everybody to play except Alabama.
No shots fired again. No
No, I'm
shots
not
fired
saying
again.
it's a fact.
You're talking big picture again, right? Yeah. You're talking big picture
It's a
again.
fact. No, it really is. I mean, what is it? Alabama's lost, what, 3 times since 1969 down there? Maybe?
Hey, okay, so
4?
hold on. We got a super chat
That's a
I need to
long
get
time.
to.
We do have a super chat from Brent
Okay.
Thomas. Thank you for the $5. You get to jump the line. He says, "Loving the Tide basketball team. Thoughts on potential of our basketball team. I live in Austin, Texas. Should I book San Antonio?"
Look, if it's going to be that close to you and you can book San Antonio, I'd get it because it's pretty special. I'd never been to a Final Four, but got to go to one for the first time this past season. It's an amazing event, amazing venue. And look, Alabama is absolutely one of those teams that has a legit chance of getting back there again. Okay. But when you're talking, here's what I've learned, because I've gone into this with some really good Alabama teams before, and I've seen some great Bama teams before I was doing this job that I thought for sure we're going to get there, and for whatever reason ran into a the wrong team on the wrong night. George, you're probably like me. You remember when Wimp had that great team and lost to this young guy named Rick Pitino in Providence with this little guard named Billy Donovan. and they beat Alabama in 1987, I think it was. And they end up getting to the Final Four ahead of Alabama, which was probably the better team overall. And we've had several. And you just get a tough draw, or you have the wrong off night on the wrong night. But that all being said, I wouldn't bet against them being in San Antonio. I think now that I've seen it, and now that the program has busted through the opportunity, I think they're talented enough, good enough, that if you can stay healthy, they got a great chance to be back in that conversation again.
Well, I love what he's doing with the preseason schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one more.
What is one thing you learned about Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer that the general public didn't get to see?
Nick Saban, they're seeing it now. Nick Saban's got a great sense of humor. Nick Saban is also a very caring individual. I personally saw that and witnessed that in my own life, but I saw it with his players too.
Okay.
There's an old saying: "Don't confuse kindness for weakness." Kalen DeBoer is a very kind person as well, but that guy loves to win now, and that guy's tough and is determined. And there's just some things that I've been privileged to be around and see. It's not just being a company man, George, when I say that I think this guy's going to win and we're going to at the level we're accustomed to, and is going to win championships at Alabama soon. I genuinely believe that, and I'm excited about it. And we got work to finish to close this year right. But regardless of the outcome, I'm ready to see next year. It can't get here quick enough.
That's strong. That's strong. Shout out to the guy that just said that they kind of briefly work with you. I don't know that
The Herb and Raj podcast says Chris Stewart is one of the nicest, most professional people I ever had the chance to briefly work with.
Yeah. So
Glad to know I got family watching. That's good. Thank you for that.
Yeah. No.
No. By the way, for the people that missed the open, and I don't know if you make this available for people to go back and watch on the archive. I imagine you do. Watch the beginning when you're telling the story about the guy that was down a little bit. You helped out. Man, we could have said amen and gone to the house right after that. You gave a great life lesson in that. You both did. And JT talking about the lady and bought her a sandwich. I mean, it's sandwiched to us. It's a car ride the direction you were already going for you, George. But you may not have made somebody's day. You may have saved somebody, literally, in those moments. You never know you never know the cross they're carrying, man. And I'm grateful for grace and mercy and blessings that I don't deserve.
Sir.
And I love the fact you shared that message of reaching out and just being kind to somebody that may need it, because you don't know what they're dealing with.
Well, I do appreciate it, and thank you for wrapping it up and bringing it back to that. We're extremely thankful for you, and we know your heart, just like you're talking about Saban's heart and others' hearts, and a lot of times you can see it, and we just need to act on it. Man, you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for your extra time.
My pleasure.
For being here. Yep, we got to thank Blackfire Pub for sponsoring us and allowing us to have great guests like this as well. So why don't you guys make sure that you follow him on Twitter at C Stewart Sports. If you haven't do that, go ahead and get on Twitter and give him a follow. And on Instagram, he is Chris Stewart Online. Chris Stewart Online on IG. So do that. Hit those subscribe buttons on our channel. Hit those subscribe buttons on the Bama Standard. As always, Justin, we're sorry if we crashed, and we multi-stream on this, and we're sorry if we are not up on the.
We're back
other
on.
side.
We've been back on. I got it.
Okay, well, good. Well, I appreciate all that working out. So, Chris, thank you again. We're gonna
Thank you, guys.
About a 90-second break to pay for some bills. And you'll be free to go, sir, and I'll hit you up a little later on, okay?
You got it. Take care.
All right, thank you. We'll be back. 90 seconds. George Teague here, formerly of the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Dallas Cowboys. So let me ask you a question. Are you an athlete or a coach looking to boost your online visibility? Well, you've got to check out On3. Their personalized web pages amplify the total you on and off the field. Whether you want to grow your visibility, build your brand, or simply show the world who you truly are, On3 is here for you. They showcase the complete person, celebrating your passions, perseverance, and the pursuit of excellence beyond sports. These web pages are the ultimate digital hub to elevate your brand and highlight your journey. So head on over to www.on3.io/microsites and get started with On3 today.
All right. And last but not least, Tide in Texas University, or is the North Texas chapter of the University of Alabama National Alumni Association. The mission of the chapter is to promote the university to prospective students in North Texas and raise money for 10 endowed scholarships. The mission is accomplished through social, educational, and philanthropic events. You are getting breaking news on Teague's Take tonight. The next event will be an exclusive showing of Do Right, the Stallings Standard, on January 29th at Sugar Bacon in McKinney. The Stallings Standard is a documentary that highlights the impactful legacy of Coach Gene Stallings and his 1992 national championship team. In addition to the documentary, there will be a dinner before and a Q&A session with a panel made up of former players from the 1992 national championship team and to be announced special guests. Please follow Tide in Texas on their Facebook and Instagram and their website, tideintexas.com, for more information.
Man, can you guess one person who's going to be on that panel at the show?
Lassick? I know what you want, and I'm not going to give it to you.
Elastic is going to be there, though.
All right. I win.
That's because you got access to my data on my phone and all this kind of stuff.
no.
Whatever, But anyway, it's going to be a good one. You guys want to come check that out? So that'll be
So what he's saying is you need to get Lassick back on the show because he's been on. Langham's been on the show. Sam Shade has been on the show.
Mario Morris
has been on the show. Maurice Belser has been on the show.
Is he the only offensive guy from '92? I'm sitting here thinking about
Lassick?
it. Oh yeah, okay. Lassick. Derek Oden.
He's been on the show.
Or maybe he was with just me one time when you couldn't be on or something. But I've interviewed D.O.
Yeah, so I think you got to get probably Prince, Deuce,
Shake, Sherman Williams.
yeah,
Come on.
Sherman Williams.
There's a whole bunch of buddies that I'm still close with. The good thing about 92 is I can reach out to anybody and they probably will come on from that era, and we can, work through that. And we do. Well, you just know how hard it is now, and I actually got a text message from another coach that I know, and he said, "Hey, I need to get me on Teague's take." It's this one on.
Wait. So I do want to add this one. Well, never mind. I thought we had Curry or Copeland on the show, but we haven't yet. Never mind.
I think I know. I tried to get Cope on one time, and it just didn't work out for him because of he was coaching, and it's just hard to get him on. Oh, we got Langham on. We didn't talk. Did you mention Langham? But anyway, I don't know. Maybe we should ask for some of that. It's just the way I process now with the film breakdown and all this kind of stuff. It's not a whole lot of interviewing stuff going on. But in the off season, we probably could do more of that, and split the time between an interview and some film.
Yep.
Something of that nature. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for hanging out with us and listening to him speak. Man, JT, I felt like I probably could have talked to him for another hour, just because he's, I don't know, thorough, honest, fair, No, I have not talked to.
Yeah, I accidentally sent that as on Justin's account. Whoops. Sorry, Justin.
No, it's okay. Well, I see it. What do you mean?
That no, he has not. I sent, but it showed up as the Bama Standard Network. I'm not sure why that happened.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to be back. I forgot to put out any type of poll next week, JT. We do want to come out and we do need to pick a game that we would kind of want to talk about, for a little bit. Justin Riley of the Bama Standard will be on our show next week as well as our featured guest. So you're going to get a whole lot more knowledge again because you know what they do on this channel, on that channel, as far as the coverage. And they're insiders as well. They got a lot of stuff going on there and a lot of things that they do at Tuscaloosa. So make sure that you're, giving them a lot of love and supporting their show. And so it's going to be an honor to have them on with us. So we'll have part of that, and then we will have some type of film breakdown once we decide what we want that to be, whether it's looking back at something or looking forward at one of these games. Maybe we need to figure out if Texas can beat Clemson or not. I don't know. Kind of leaning into that one, but I don't know. I don't know.
We know a guy, I guess.
Well, there you go. So, all right, man. Well, I think we should wrap this one up. I think he kind of brought it home. Again, thank you all for everything. Brett Thomas, thank you for the thank you for the super chat. Thank you for everybody being a part of it. JT, thank you. I don't know if you see that you got Chris Stewart on your
I do
as your name thing.
I was trying forever to get it to show up, and I couldn't do it.
Well, it's on you now, so it's going to confuse people. Appreciate you. It's 1331. That guy down there, he's JT. I'm George Teague. We're going to see y'all in a week. Deuces.